So I want you to imagine for a second using AI to complete a massive business project in just 30 minutes. I want you to imagine you could accomplish tasks that would take humans hours or even days. This is, of course, something that actually happened. In a remarkable experiment, a Wharton professor, Ethan Mollick, used a combination of AI tools to market the launch of an educational game. So in 30 minutes, he did everything using just natural language prompts and inputs. He conducted market research, he had AI create an email campaign, he had it design a basic website, he had it craft a social media campaign, and he completed multiple other tasks in half an hour. Now, the results of this, which we'll link to the full description of in the show notes, really just showed the unprecedented potential of AI as your kind of co-pilot, as this multiplier of human effort, which has huge implications that we'll talk about for the future of work, productivity, and creativity. So I think it's really helpful and jaw-dropping to quantify the outputs that happened over the course of this 30 minutes. So over the course of this 30-minute, you know, blitzing through an entire marketing program, Moloch used no more than 20 inputs, actions, or prompts, and he, as a result, generated 9,200 words of content. He got a working HTML and CSS file. He generated 12 images. He generated a voice file, a movie file, and he used these assets in tandem with AI to create a marketing position document, an entire email campaign, the website, logo, script, and video, and social. As he put it, AI would do all the work. I would just offer directions. So I kind of was pretty stunned reading this. Like he shares in the entire post, the quality of the outputs and what he was able to do within 30 minutes. I was pretty stunned personally. I mean, we've always known these tools can increase productivity in an exponential fashion, but seeing it actually happen was another thing entirely. So I just wanted to kind of start off by addressing the elephant in the room. Is this the new normal for marketers?
Yeah, I mean, the tangible takeaway for me is obviously it was an experiment, but I put this on LinkedIn on a Sunday morning. So, like, not everybody's checking LinkedIn on Sunday mornings. So I shared this with a little bit of context. Not even 24 hours later, when we're recording this, that LinkedIn post has 48,500 impressions and 270 engagements and 49 reposts. So this resonated with people, is what I'm
Mm.
saying here. Like it is that back to earth, tangible example of how this can be used. And he did it with a collection of tools that combined cost less than $60 a month. You and I worked together at my agency for a really long time. I owned a marketing agency for 16 years. If I had to break this down and scope this in a proposal, I can't fathom this list of things wouldn't have cost between $10,000 and $20,000 less than all those things you just explained. Minimum $10,000 to $20,000 and probably a month of work. He did it in 30 minutes. Now, is it perfect? Would you actually launch the campaign with this? Probably not. You probably need to do some editing, and the website might need some adjustments, and you got to do quality testing and all this stuff. But I mean, maybe like another 5 hours of work? You're going to knock this thing out? So I think, like, if you pay an agency to do this work, if you are an agency that gets paid to do this work, or if you're just a corporate marketing team or maybe an individual contractor, think about how much time it would take you to do this in a traditional vehicle. And he used 4 AI tools that cost $60
Yeah.
to do this entire experiment. So I think that to me is like, it's just representative of the fundamental transformation we are going through at the moment. And some of the comments on my LinkedIn thing, like there's people who are like, why are people hearting this? Like, why are they cheering this on? Like, this is terrifying.
Mm.
Like, this is what we do for a living. And like, you have people in these comments like, oh, this is amazing. It's so great. And I didn't take a stand on it one way or the other. I was just sharing the information and say, hey, look, this is really interesting. And you have some people in the comments who are like, this is incredible. Like, this changes everything. It's so great. And other people are like, oh my God, what are humans going to do when the machines do all the work? Like, do we need universal basic income? And you have like this, like the fear factor emerges, but these are real concerns and questions that we don't have answers to. And so it's also representative of how unprepared the business world and society and the economy are for what's about to happen. So that's why I actually loved the experiment. I thought it was just very thought provoking.
Yeah.
And I do think it's helpful to like really see how tangible this is. I'm going to read you a couple of the prompts that he used. So he has AI as a marketing strategist. Now they had created this Saturn Parable game, so it was able to like know this, but he said, look up the business simulation market, look up Wharton Interactive Saturn Parable. So it's like, okay, cool. And it went and found it. Then he says, pretend you are a marketing genius. We are going to launch the Saturn Parable. You should give me a document that outlines an email marketing campaign and a single web page to promote the game. It does it. Then he goes on to give some additional prompts. It creates 4 additional emails. Then he goes, AI is a site developer. Outline the web page and what text and graphics it uses. You do not need to create the web page, but do give me the text. So it writes a web page for him. Um, then it goes on and says, you are an expert site designer. You are creating the launch announcement page for Saturn Parable outlined below. And then he gives like the outline. Create the following web page. Make it an HTML page that I can run on my computer. List any additional assets I will need to make it work and where to put them. So again, if you are listening to this and you've never done the prompting of an AI agent, this is how it works. Like he's telling it the system, you are this system. And then he's saying, here's what I want you to do, system. And then you can kind of keep iterating on that information. So then he needs a hero image. So he asks it to create an image. It does it in Mid-Journey, shows the completed website. He's like, oh, this doesn't look great. So I tell the designer, the hero image looks weird because it's magnified on the top and bottom. Can you fix it? So it
Mm.
fixes it in the CSS file. And then he goes and as AI is a social media manager. Can you write me the social media campaign? I need to promote this thing using the Wharton accounts on social. So it creates it and it does goal, audience, strategy, content plan. Like it builds a plan. Like it doesn't just give the, and then it goes, show me some example posts. So it writes sample posts for Facebook and Twitter. And then finally, it uses 11 labs and D dash, I don't know if it's did or whatever that is, but he creates a script and then he creates a synthetic actor to record the video. And then it goes into like, as you outlined, all of this in 30 minutes. Like it's wild. Like it's really hard to comprehend, but I think it makes it very tangible. Again, we don't need AGI to change everything. GPT-4 in its current environment without the plugin ecosystem can enable stuff like this. Like, where are we going to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? I have no idea. Like, as much as we live this stuff every day, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around how much this is really going to change the future of work, the future of business. Like, it's hard to think about.
So all that being said, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have any kind of first draft thoughts about what you're thinking about when it comes to employment or productivity or work as a whole? I mean, as someone who has owns a
Yeah.
business and employs people and has those issues top of mind.
Well, we've talked about it a little bit before. My biggest fear at the moment is a lack of understanding of this technology, what it's capable of, what its limitations are, and that the people at the top of companies and agencies and media, outlets and publishers, whatever, the ones that are going to make the decisions about the impact on staffing probably don't understand the technology driving those decisions.
Mm.
So I think, and given the economy at the moment, I think there's going to be way more pressure on reduction of workforces than AI is going to believe to be an ability to continue to maintain productivity levels while reducing workforce.
Hasn't
So,
that been what the tech companies themselves have been saying, the Microsofts and Facebooks,
well,
Metas
I
of the
think
world?
Meta was the first one to not so overtly say we're going to use AI instead of the 10,000 people. Everybody else, I think a lot of the layoffs were basically just like, if you look at Twitter, I mean, that was like the prime example for everybody. That was just like, this is just a bloated organization. We don't need all these people. I don't know that like Elon Musk had some grand plan to replace them with AI agents or anything like that. And then I think a lot of tech companies were under massive pressure to follow that lead because then their investors in the stock market, Wall Street were pressuring them to make cuts because, well, if Twitter can function with 80% less people, like you can certainly function with 20% less people. And so the stock prices were getting hammered because these tech companies were now perceived to be bloated in terms of staffing. I don't think it had anything to do with AI. And that's my concern is like, that wasn't even AI cuts yet.
Mm.
Same thing with, I've always worried about media companies, like as tough as media models have been, it had nothing to do with AI the last 3 to 5 years. You had all these layoffs of journalists and producers and all this, and it's like wasn't even AI yet. So I think we're now heading into the AI phase of workforce assessment. And I think it's going to be a mix of pressure to drive efficiency and productivity with fewer people is going to cause job loss, and an unprepared society that didn't realize AI was coming for knowledge work as quickly as it is. And so I wish I had a more optimistic view in the near term, but I think it's going to get ugly in the next year. I think there's going to be a lot of disruption to the workforce. I think a lot of people's career paths are going to get shaken up a bit. And the best thing I can say is like, it's scary, but I would just be really, really proactive understanding this stuff because I do think that the people who seek the knowledge and understand this technology and can be the ones that apply it, they're going to have the best chance. Like, I'm not telling you like it's bulletproof that if you go figure this all out, like your current employer is going to appreciate that knowledge and give you a promotion and like you're going to keep your job when everybody else is struggling. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that, but I'm saying your chances of being employed and having enormous career potential ahead of you and benefiting from all this change is only going to be possible if you figure this out. So it's the only thing I can say is like, I even teach this to my kids. My kids are 11 and 10. Like, life is messy, it's imperfect, it's hard. Um, and the only way you can get through it is to control all the variables you can. So like when life is hard or business is hard, you just have to buckle down and do it. Like, what can I control today? And what you can control today is learn AI, experiment it, become confident in your abilities with it, be the one in your organization that understands this stuff. That's the only control variable you have at the moment. You can't control how quickly this happens and what it's going to do in society and the workforce and whether AGI is going to come around. You have no control over that. But you can control your own career path and what you choose to do with this knowledge. And I think that's the best thing you can do. But that's what it's always been. It's just always learn. If you get stagnant, as hard as it is to keep up, but if you get stagnant, then you're not going to be putting yourself in the best position to kind of weather the next year or two as the economy is down and AI is coming for knowledge work. Like, it's just the perfect storm right now.
Mm.
If the economy was humming along and we weren't having to lay people off for financial reasons, then maybe it's not as bad. But I think the fact that it came for knowledge work so quickly and the economy sucks, I don't feel great about the next like 12 to 18 months and the impact it's going to have on workers.
I think that's at least very good advice for us to be able to navigate kind of this new normal moving forward.